I am homeless, meaning to say I do not own a home. There's a story behind it I'll get to in just a second. My name is Bill Pryor and I am Home Free CEO. And the story is pretty simple. My wife and I, we're both in our mid-50s, decided about a year ago that we were going to change our lives. It took a little while to get there, and a month and a half ago, we sold our house, we sold all of our possessions, and we took off. We bought a one-way ticket to Europe and said, we're gonna go. We don't know where exactly we're going to go, and we don't know how long we're gonna be there. We don't know how long it's gonna be before we come back, but we have decided to go nomadic. Now, there's a few nuances to that. One, we're not on vacation. We both work full-time, and this channel, and I have a whole bunch of shorts that talk about some of the specifics, but this is my first long-form video for YouTube, because I think that what we're doing is more complicated than a 1.5 minute reel or short. And so, my wife and I decided we're going to make a change, and there are a lot of reasons behind it, but the change was simple. We got rid of just about everything we own, 30 years of our life. We sold it in an estate sale and gave our house to an incredible family, and decided that we were going to experience the world. We are surfing in 1 week, 2 week increments in Airbnbs right now across Europe. Where I am right now is Istanbul, and we've been here for just under 2 weeks, and over my shoulder you see the Galata Tower, the Bosphorus, which connects the Black Sea, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about if you watch the news about Ukraine and Russia, with the Sea of Marmara, which is the entry point into the Mediterranean. So this area right here is the connection between Asia and where I stand in Europe. And this morning I was in Asia. We took a ferry across, and it's an awesome experience. In fact, this is the kind of thing that we do. And we got on a ferry, we experienced some Turkish tea that was made for us on the boat, and we were running a little errand, decided we were going to take a transcontinental cruise that took about 30 minutes. And so while crossing, obviously we're seeing huge liners, ocean liners. We see oil tankers. On the left side, you see the Blue Mosque, the Hagia Sophia. It's just an amazing experience. And so I'll show you some of that in video. And it was just an amazing experience. We don't start working, and we do work full time, until about 4 p.m. And so it's a unique lifestyle that allows us to capture our mornings. We get to live an experience like most people do at the end of the day. They get to sit down or go out to dinner with friends. We just shifted that free time to earlier in the day. So it seems like a vacation, but the truth is it's just a different lifestyle. And we're still working 50, 60 hours a week. We both work full time for the company we run, Gear Focus. And we are a marketplace for used camera equipment for film and photography. And I absolutely encourage you to check it out if you're interested in cameras of all shapes and sizes. But that's not what this is about. This is about, how does somebody make the decision to do this? Why does somebody make the decision to give up 30 years? Well, started with, we had 3 boys, still have 3 boys, but they were obviously raised in the house that we sold. We were there for nearly 20 years, and we saw them grow up. And it was a large house and lots of free area, perfect for raising a family of 5, 3 boys. We had a sport court, a YouTube studio, movie theater. It was a great house. But we looked at ourselves a year ago. Our 2 oldest are out of college. Our youngest has 1 year left. And we realized that the house had So many memories. I mean, countless memories. But we weren't making any new ones. I know I got into a routine where I was working way too much, but at the end of the day, I would come downstairs, down on the sofa, turn on the television, grab a drink, and chill. And that was 5-6 nights a week. It was not the life that I envisioned myself living at any point in my life, but much less in retirement and nearing retirement. And so I saw that that was the path I was going, shared that with Beth, my wife, and together we said, let's consider what our options are. And to begin with, we started, well, why don't we just downsize, maybe move downtown, live in a high-rise condo where things are around us and we're busy. We enjoy travel, we enjoy walking downstairs and experiencing the world as opposed to having to get in a car and drive. That. We like being in the middle of things. And so we contemplated that for a while and then made the determination that why don't we take it a step further? Why don't we consider something that is a little more aggressive? Why don't we think about not having a house? And the money you would put into rent or the money that you would put into your mortgage and the expenses of keeping a home, why don't we use those dollars to fund a lifestyle elsewhere? And it took us a few minutes. Obviously we thought, well, what are we gonna do with all our stuff and put it into storage? That's gonna be a huge expense. And then we started thinking, well, what is it that we have that we really need? And as we started warming up to that thought and that idea, we realized we really didn't have that much that we had to have. And to give you an idea, we had a 4,000 square foot house. And when we were all said and done and got rid of everything, our entirety of our belongings fits into 2 roller bags, 2 backpacks, and half of a shed. So it turns out there wasn't that much that we absolutely had to have. And we took off. So it took us a little bit of time. We sold the house. We were in Austin for about a month. We actually crashed in my son's apartment. Oh, that was fun. And then decided, okay, let's, tie up a few loose ends. We wanted to be sure that the business was going to run not just efficiently, but as well as it was at home. And so it took us a little bit of time to figure out what we would need, what that would look like from a logistical perspective, from a communications perspective. We figured out how to manage our cell phones, for instance, and be able to have phone calls with all the people who needed to have phone calls, how to make sure that we have Wi-Fi to be able to have the Zoom calls necessary, to make sure we can get onto the site. And so the truth is our company lives in the cloud and we can reach it from anywhere. Now it did shift our schedule, as I mentioned before. Instead of having evenings and working during the day, it's now we have our day to ourselves and we work sometimes late at night. I've, on many an occasion since we've been here, sat at that table right there until 2-3 o'clock in the morning working. And so it is a lifestyle shift. And it's one that so far we've had a lot of success with. We left on the 29th of June. So you guys are catching us really at the front end of this. This is our 3rd destination. We started in Amsterdam. We were there for 6 days. We moved to Budapest. We were there for 5 days. After both of those, we realized that that's not a long enough time for us to get settled and work. And we turned into a little bit too much of tourists. And because we weren't willing to not work, it meant that we were going for 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, trying to get in everything we wanted to see, plus all the things that we had to do to keep our responsibilities safe. We have now come to the conclusion that we need to be someplace at least a week. And we are leaving tomorrow. And we did not know where we were going, did not have an Airbnb booked, did not have a flight booked until about 2 p.m. this afternoon. So tomorrow we are leaving for Transylvania. Because why not? And so that's going to be another story, and I'm going to share that with you guys. But this has been an intro to what we're doing and how we're doing it, but there's so much more to come. I hope you guys will enjoy the journey and allow me to tell you the story of what we're doing and why. And in the meantime, enjoy the view. It is absolutely stunning here, and Istanbul surprised me. People are so friendly, the food is delicious, and there's an extraordinarily large amount of very interesting things for me to see and for us to see and to share. So it's been a wonderful 2 weeks, and next we're going to be in Romania. See Count Dracula. Thanks for joining.